Blac on it and think that you have Yo Gotti, who's traditionally always been pretty tight-lipped, pretty quiet about beef and everything, and then all of a sudden he's got this new artist who is just acting a fool, doing all the craziest shit, pulling up to people's neighborhoods, making Instagram videos, etc. All this stuff that you don't see anybody associated with CMG doing that stuff. You don't really see a lot of rappers besides like, you know, more underground guys doing that type of shit in general these days, just because I think people are a little bit more aware of how much the cops are watching them on.
Something tense is brewing in Memphis right now, and everyone's eyes are locked on it. What started as quiet friction behind closed doors has now spilled into the open, and the fallout could turn dangerous quickly. Yo Gotti's camp, the CMG empire that once seemed untouchable, is showing cracks no one expected to see so publicly. Behind the plaques, the money, and the success stories, a storm has been simmering for far too long. This isn't about numbers or contracts anymore. It's about pride, loyalty, and old grudges that never truly died. When power shifts, relationships change, and right now, one of Memphis's strongest alliances is coming apart piece by piece. This tension didn't appear overnight. Pressure like this builds slowly, and when it finally erupts, it leaves everyone scrambling. The streets aren't just whispering anymore. They're watching, analyzing every post, every move, and every silence for hidden meaning. The moment Blac Youngster wiped CMG from his bio and declared himself independent, theories started flying online. Some tried to dismiss it as a routine label move, but this time, the timing, tone, and energy all felt heavier than ever. This isn't the first time Youngster has played the independence card, but this time it hits differently, colder, more aggressive, and far less playful. His messages aren't coded marketing stunts. They feel personal, raw, and fueled by frustration. The tone shifted fast. Youngster wasn't just talking business anymore. He was calling out loyalty, fake love, and boundaries being crossed. These aren't coworkers having a falling out. These are two men who came up together, survived street-level conflict, and built a powerful brand from unity and shared enemies. That kind of bond doesn't break over paperwork alone. When a common enemy disappears, unresolved issues surface, trust gets questioned, motives get examined, and alliances start shifting. Then came the post that stopped everyone in their tracks. Youngster went straight to social media and didn't hold back. He wrote, "Play with me. I'm gonna take away everything that came out of your mama. I swear to God, all my brothers dead. So why not the house gonna send this upside down about me, dead or alive? But I stand on my own 10. Raw emotion spilling into public view. It wasn't vague. It wasn't playful. It was a warning. When statements like that hit the timeline, people hear more than frustration. They hear danger. Suddenly, questions arise. Is this just another public split or something deeper simmering beneath the surface? Has loyalty turned one-sided? Has respect faded as the spotlight shifted? Whatever's happening behind the scenes is no longer contained. Yo Gotti's silence only adds fuel to the fire, because in moments like this, quiet speaks louder than words. Similar situations spiral out of control before, and that history is why people are uneasy. When emotions mix with power and pride, escalation can happen fast if no one intervenes. This isn't gossip. It's a fracture in one of hip-hop's most influential camps, and everyone is waiting to see the next move. The first statement alone had people on edge because the energy behind it wasn't normal frustration. It sounded like someone cornered yet fearless, a dangerous mindset, especially from someone with influence and a loud voice. The message wasn't just about respect, it was about having nothing left to protect, and that changes everything in an instant. Instead of letting things settle, Blac Youngster came back with another message, and this one felt pointed. Emotion wasn't spilling out randomly anymore. This was deliberate. His follow-up clearly wasn't meant for the public in general, but for one person in particular. He wrote, "These dudes CB4 and they still misleading the youth like they some type of mob bosses. Bro, I'm going to bed right now and it's 11 a.m. I'm sick of these dudes and I'm gonna lead by example." That line immediately shifted the whole situation into another lane. Anyone familiar with hip-hop culture knows calling someone CB4 is heavy. It's one of the ultimate disrespects. CB4 was about fake rappers pretending to be gangsters, living a role instead of reality. When Youngster dropped that term, he wasn't joking. He was calling someone out for being fake. And let's be real, this wasn't aimed at just anyone. That message lined up too perfectly with Yo Gotti's image to be accidental. Gotti's brand has always leaned into that mob boss aura, from his name straight out of John Gotti's legacy to interviews, lyrics, and visuals. Youngster wasn't just shading him, he was attacking the core of Gotti's identity and brand. Then came the line that really shook things up. Youngster said, "I blame the fake OG, the fake big homies, the fake big brothers, the fake CEOs, the fake teachers, the fake people in your life, not telling you right from wrong, all those titles." That wasn't vague at all. At one point, Youngster had publicly referred to Yo Gotti using every one of those titles. OG, big homie, big brother, CEO, so there was no confusion about who the message was for. This wasn't outsiders beefing, this was family airing grievances publicly. Many expected Yo Gotti to either ignore it or respond emotionally, but he moved differently. He posted 3 photos with the caption, "Nothing bigger, unbreakable," and played Jay-Z's Dynasty intro. Nothing about that was random. Every post, song choice, and caption is deliberate. That specific Jay-Z track was a message in itself. Early bars referenced The Sopranos, comparing life to a mob narrative rather than rejecting it. Gotti was saying he owns that image and isn't backing down. Unbreakable wasn't just confidence, it was a warning. The line "clap whoever, stand between Sean and figures" hit differently in this context, signaling loyalty, hierarchy, and consequences. Gotti's choice of that track was calm, calculated, and fully aware of what was happening. At this point, no one can pretend this is just social media noise. Both sides are speaking through posts, symbolism, and timing. At this level, the streets pay attention. This situation has already crossed the point of privacy. With pride, history, and power in play, the next move could change everything. Yo Gotti's response wasn't subtle. Any threat to the money, brand, or structure gets dealt with. If Blac Youngster is viewed as a liability instead of an asset, everyone knows how that usually plays out. That's why the tension feels heavier than a normal disagreement. The big question now is simple but serious. Why now? Why did years of silent friction finally spill into public smoke? Something clearly had to tip the scale. Many believe the timing ties directly to the Young Dolph case taking a major turn. Recently, Hernandez Goin, the man prosecutors painted as the mastermind behind Dolph's murder, was found not guilty and walked free. That single verdict flipped the narrative and shifted the power dynamic overnight. Once it dropped, previously cautious people suddenly didn't have to move the same way anymore. Old decisions, past behavior, and unresolved issues began resurfacing immediately. Now, let's get into the part people often avoid discussing. Blac Youngster was one of the loudest voices dissing young Dolph. Even after Dolph's death, he didn't ease up. He performed Shake Some at a Dallas nightclub shortly after the passing, and then filmed a video in a graveyard, rapping in front of a tombstone bearing Thornton Dolph's real last name. That move shocked many, and the backlash was instant and intense. But Youngster didn't apologize. He made it clear he wasn't looking for sympathy or approval. He said, "I'm the type of dude who ain't never sat back and looked for nobody to feel sorry for me. I come from the heart of South Memphis, where you get no sympathy." From the outside, that moment marked the beginning of visible cracks between Youngster and Yo Gotti. Word around the city was that Gotti and CMG didn't want Youngster continuing to disrespect Dolph, not out of emotions, but to protect business and optics. Young Dolph was widely loved, and CMG's name kept coming up during the trial. Yo Gotti's brother, Big Juke, was questioned, and CMG was mentioned multiple times in court. The spotlight didn't fade. While Youngster was moving off emotion and street mentality, Gotti was protecting the brand and distancing himself from anything that could add heat. Youngster trolling Dolph's death immediately made that job harder, and that's where the tension grew louder. History shows that once a shared enemy is gone, internal issues rarely stay buried. In this case, that enemy was young Dolph. With him gone, some of that tension turned inward. We saw more of that during the trial when Cornelius Smith, one of the alleged shooters, flipped and became the prosecution's star witness. He claimed Big Juke allegedly placed a $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head, which shook everything and exposed cracks in loyalty and silence. At that point, this stopped being just music or internet talk. It became about power, control, and who truly holds influence under pressure. When artists feel boxed in or silenced, frustration can escalate quickly. Youngster himself admitted years ago that he and Gotti often clashed because of their different approaches. Gotti viewed Youngster as reckless and unpredictable, while Youngster felt restricted. That tension always existed, it was just managed. Even Youngster's project title, Young and Reckless, summed up their dynamic perfectly. Raw energy clashing with calculated leadership. The real concern now isn't what happened, it's what comes next. When pride, influence, and street history collide, situations can spiral fast if nobody intervenes. Youngster moves like a boss at the top, connected, strategic, and operating from a distance. Youngster moves on emotion and impulse. If this escalates into open conflict, the fallout wouldn't just hit them, it would affect everyone around them. That's why this moment feels critical. Either both sides find a way to coexist, or the situation risks spiraling beyond control once it leaves the internet. The stakes are higher than most realize. Youngster isn't just another rapper acting emotionally anymore. He's operating at a level where influence runs deep and decisions happen quietly. Conflicts at this level don't always play out loudly or fast, and that's what makes this situation feel so tense. People close to the culture keep pointing out how familiar it all feels. Many of these patterns mirror what happened during the young Dolph situation. Rewind far enough and the warning signs were visible long before things turned ugly. Back in 2012, when young Dolph was starting to build real momentum in Memphis, he claimed Yo Gotti reached out with a CMG deal. According to Dolph, he turned it down, and that decision changed the course of everything. Dolph later said that during the pitch, Gotti allegedly downplayed his own artist while hyping Dolph up as different. That didn't sit right with Dolph at all. It felt like someone was willing to throw their own team under the bus just to close a deal. That moment planted seeds of tension that never fully went away. Fast forward to now, and people are noticing similar emotional patterns resurfacing with Blac Youngster. His recent statements aren't random venting. They carry layers of frustration and disappointment. He's been calling out fake love, fake loyalty, and people playing roles for too long. He said, "I'm cool with standing alone. I'm cool with the fact that I put trust in the wrong people a few times. I wash my hands. No more making it look good. We either cool or we not." That doesn't sound like someone chasing attention. It sounds like someone who gave everything and feels let down. When a person reaches that mindset, optics stop mattering, and raw experience drives the message. This isn't about clout anymore. It's about feeling unappreciated after years of loyalty. Youngster rode hard for the CMG brand, defended it publicly, and stood 10 toes down in messy situations. When someone does all that and still feels pushed aside, resentment builds fast. What makes it heavier is the emotional weight behind his words. He openly mentioned all his brothers are gone, which changes how someone navigates life. When a person feels like they've already lost everything important, fear disappears and reactions become unpredictable. That's why people aren't just watching the music or social posts, they're studying the psychology behind it. A man who feels betrayed, isolated, and stripped of loyalty doesn't operate like someone protecting comfort or stability. Zooming out, this isn't just about Yo Gotti and Blac Youngster. It reflects a larger pattern in the industry, where business, ego, and pressure can turn close relationships into rivalries fast. One minute is brotherhood, the next it's silence and distance. Power shifts reshape dynamics. When one person controls resources and direction, while the other feels boxed in or muted, tension is inevitable. Layer on public scrutiny, and small disagreements become public fractures. At its core, this isn't about contracts, it's about control. Who gets heard, who gets protected, and who feels expendable once success reaches a certain height. That's why this moment matters. Once relationships reach this stage, there's no going back. Either both sides coexist with clear boundaries or the fallout spreads. History shows the industry rarely resolves these clashes cleanly. When money, pride, and influence collide, damage spreads far beyond the two people at the center. Stripped down, it's about consequences. Choices made in moments of pride and anger don't vanish. They linger, they wait, and eventually they circle back. The scary part, things can spiral fast when nobody hits the brakes. The real question now isn't who started what, it's whether this can be stopped before it goes too far. Memphis has already paid a heavy price when street-level conflict mixes with fame and power. Too many talented lives have been cut short, and the city carries that weight every day. Young Dolph is gone. Big Juke is gone. Blac Youngster's brother is gone. Each loss leaves grief, anger, and unfinished business in its wake. When pain stacks like that, it doesn't fade, it changes how people move. That's why so many people are on edge watching this play out. It feels like history is trying to repeat itself, and nobody wants to see another headline end in tragedy. The culture has seen this movie before, and it never ends the way anyone hopes. For Yo Gotti, this moment is bigger than music or pride. It's a test of leadership. Does he step in to calm things down and pull them back from the edge, or does he let distance and silence speak for him? Every move now sends a message, whether intentional or not. For Blac Youngster, this is about legacy. How does he want to be remembered? As someone who stayed loyal no matter the cost, or as someone who felt betrayed and chose to stand alone when things fell apart? Neither side is moving without pressure. The streets are watching, the industry is watching, the culture is watching. And when situations reach this level, every word, every post, and every silence carries weight far beyond what most people realize. Memphis has shown us time and again that when beef reaches this stage, peaceful endings are rare. Pride gets involved, history gets involved, emotions cloud judgment when cooler heads are needed most. This isn't just entertainment, it's real-life tension unfolding in public. These are real people with real influence, and the impact